YouTube, it's Brian Phillips again. I have a box. It's not... That doesn't sound promising. You know it didn't come in a garbage bag, so it didn't come from Banggood this time. I don't think. Ooh, what do we have here? We have air pillows.
Packaging?
Yeah, I know. What the heck are they thinking about, right?
Confused.
Ooh, it's another OMPHobby, which stands for like Ohio model something or another.
Planes.
I forget. Model products.
Planes.
Planes.
Yes.
Is that what that is? Whoa, hold on. There's a packing list? Are you kidding me? Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so we'll look at that here in a few minutes. And then I also have, what's this thing? Looks like there's some sort of a device in here. Oh, it's a battery. It's just another battery.
Oh, an extra.
Yeah, which I've got 4 of them from the other day, so should be no problem. But yeah, it's got Velcro on the side, which is nice. So we'll take a look at that after a few minutes. And but without further ado, we're gonna open this thing and we're gonna put it together, and then we're gonna fly it just as soon as that fiery ball comes into the sky again.
And it's not snowing or windy.
This is gonna be okay. So this is the T720, which stands for Trainer Radio Control Airplane. So we're gonna see how this works. We just got done the other day reviewing the S720, which was the sport model, and really nice plane. Maybe wasn't like my favorite flying plane, but it was really easy to fly. So I'm trying to figure out why we need a trainer. Oh boy, look at this, so gorgeous. Look at this little brushless motor, Sunnysky. That must be the manufacturer. It's made in China. That is pretty cool. 1404 kV. 14 kV, 2500. There you go. So, at any rate, there's a hole in here where the wings go. There's a canopy here, which looks like these things are slick. I'm not sure why they're so slick. There's a strike plate here, which is nice. So when you land, you can rub that into the ground. This bag is actually glued in there, which is kind of nice. Excuse me, taped in there, I apologize. So we're gonna see what's inside this bag quick. Looks pretty straightforward. We got a 3-bladed propeller. It only comes with the one. So you'll wanna make sure not to destroy it. However, it is mounted on the back of the plane, so a little bit less likely to crash into the propeller. And we'll just see how this comes out. And by the way, I was just gonna show you that. These blades are really forgiving. That's not normal. And they're really nice, high polish finish on them. And it's keyed. I don't know, can you see that hole? Show them the hole, Megan. Mm-hmm. I mean, camera crew. Who's Megan?
I don't know.
So we're just gonna stick that on there. Now, that is the wrong way. Do you guys see why? Because these things, well, I guess it kind of depends on which direction it's going. Pretty sure it goes that way because that would be the efficient way. So you can see when this thing spins, it's gonna spin and cut the air and it's gonna push the plane forward. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, but you don't know which way it's gonna spin. That is a fair assessment. Typically looking from the front of the plane, it's gonna go, I guess it kind of depends. With a brushless motor, you can run it either way. Sometimes pusher props are a little bit hard to tell. So we'll find out here in a minute. It does come with a prop saver, or just this mounting piece here. It's got 3 screws that hold that down to the actual brushless motor, the bell housing of the brushless motor. And then it comes with a screw and a spinner. So we're gonna go ahead and just pop that out of the sack, get that assembled. Hope the screw's stuck into that. Otherwise we'll be pausing that.
Nope.
Oh, it's not? Okay, so we will be pausing and finding the screw.
Okay.
Well, that didn't take long. I literally looked down, it was right there. So we got a screw and we've got the spinner. Really high quality spinner, by the way. I'm not used to seeing such nice spinners on these planes. I mean, These planes are really well built, really well built. And my only qualms with them are the controls. So, and when I say controls, I mean controls on an airplane, it's pretty important, but I would say like way better than your average, you know, $100-ish quality range. The EP, I believe this is EPP foam, and it's extremely forgiving compared to competitive brands. Competitive price point, you're going to get a lot more resiliency from this type of foam than you will from an EPS. I don't think that comes off, or I haven't figured out how to take it off. But I'm like, where? Oh, there it goes. Does it come off? I don't know. I don't want to break it. We may have to look at the manual. What the heck? Okay, so here's the wings. Oh, that's what we heard sliding, guys. It was just the tail. Horizontal stabilizer. So you actually don't have to do anything to this. Oh, look at that. Look, there's a linkage on this elevator. That's good. Here, show them down the hole again. That's good, guys. I don't like the direct linkage on the S720, and here's why. The servo, there's a little bell housing down here. That's going to give you the ability to dampen the control output on this control. Okay, so if it's really touchy, like it was on that device, on the 720, see how easy this goes together? You're still able to do the quick assembly, but you're not going to have that problem where you've got the direct drive hooked up straight to the servo itself, and then that magnet just holds these two halves together, which keeps it sandwiched on top of that bell house, or that bell lever, whatever you want, a bell crank. It's called a bell crank. See how that linkage moves? Then it moves the elevator. A lot of throw on that too, which is good. And if you want more, it's in the further out. If you move to the inside hole, then you actually get even more throw. So there's that. And what's next? What else do we have to do on this? Obviously, we're gonna have to figure out how to open it here in a minute. Big ailerons. Okay, couple quick notes. Inboard ailerons, as opposed to an aileron that's on the outboard portion of the wing. Okay, so this is the cord, and then you know your wingspan is like this here. But speaking of inboard, toward the inside of the plane, there are some flight characteristics that are not good with having an inboard aileron, and this is a big aileron. There are some good characteristics, and that are if you would ever set up flaperons, which you probably can't do on this controller, you'd have to replace it, the receiver. The inboard flaperons would be effective, and you would still have a big rudder and a big elevator to control the plane on the way down. Why would you want flaperons? And if you don't know what flaperons are similar to flaps in that the ailerons act as ailerons still. I'm going to try to do this, they're kind of slick. But they both go down together, and then that makes a flap. And a flap changes both the pitch of the airplane because the shape of the wing changes, and then it also slows down the stall speed before it falls, and it increases drag. So it just does a bunch of different things. And so flaperons are just real similar function to flaps without being dedicated. Okay, so this little bit of you gotta, as you slide this in, you gotta kind of push it out, and then this finds its own little hole. And then same thing here. Okay, so you see how you kind of gotta work it in there, and then it snaps. So you talk about tight machine tolerances. Man, that looks really nice. This is called a polyhedral wing. This would be just dihedral if it just came straight out and went at an angle. The dihedral helps with stability of the airplane. So if there was no stabilizer, which there's surely a stabilizer on this, if you throw this, then it basically makes this heavy part of the plane hang down low. And once it hangs low, then it keeps it more or less stable. So if you were to put the wings like this, then it would want to flip over all the time. So that's why you do this polyhedral. Plus then you don't have that geometry change where the aileron is, which is why they chose to do the inboard portion of the wing, inboard versus outboard, okay? So now that we've got that lesson out of the way, we have an instruction manual and we have a transmitter, so let's see what that looks like real quick. We might pause and get things cleaned up after we open this up because we're gonna have to find batteries. Hey, look at that. There's another battery in here. Looks like these are 300 milliamp hour lipos with a JST connector and then a JST Hextronic style balance charger plug. So the negative lead, of course, is the black, and then each of the cells are connected in series, which is how we come up with the 2S nomenclature. So 2S, 2 cells in series. It's not 2C, that's another rating on a battery. If you guys aren't familiar with these, obviously these planes, this type of plane would be a perfect gift idea for somebody because it's ready to fly. It comes with everything you need, with the exception of the batteries that go into the transmitter itself. Another thing I really like about the Sunnysky lineup or the OMPHobby is if you just look at this, this is pretty amazing. They put a label that shows what it's hooked up to. That is really helpful when you're a guy like me and you've got maybe 30 of these things floating around, okay? It's a big deal because it gets hard to keep that stuff straight.
And you're gonna need something to plug the USB into.
That's right. You need to have some sort of a USB charger adapter, which we'll show you that right now. In fact, we'll just go ahead and do that right now, and then we'll go ahead and get batteries in this next. I've done this a million times. You've already seen it. You can disregard this part or just skip forward. If you haven't figured this out yet on my videos, I put in the description quick links to allow you to skip past some of the intro and go right to the flying or right to the unboxing, depending on how complicated the video is. So you'll notice this has 3 wires. It's with 1 wire with 3 leads on it. That's because this is a balanced charger. So you see there's 3 pins in there. There's a plus and a minus. This, of course, is a male connector, but you might call it female because the case is female. These are actually sockets, even though they look like pins. Okay, so this would technically be a female connector, and the male and the female mesh up like this. Okay, so that makes the plug. That's how you charge it. You don't charge it on the other one. That's the discharge lead. So it's actually hooked up to the 2 outside cells. So you need a little something like this. This just happens to be from an Asus tablet, nothing special, but let's see if this says what rating. Hey, look at that. Input is rated at DC 5 volts at 2 amps, and the output is rated at 1000 milliamp hours, or 1000 milliamps at 7.4 volts. Now that's not milliamp hours. The hours are gonna be dictated by how long it runs, okay? So in this case, this battery is 300 milliamp hours, okay, at 7.4 volts, okay? But we're gonna be charging each cell separately because this is a balanced charger, okay? So we're just gonna, you don't need to know why, but we're just gonna plug this in and we'll show you with our little voltage tester. So we'll plug this in. You'll note there's no lights except for that one. And then we'll just plug this in. And then there's a green light that comes on and it flashes, okay? So that tells you it's charging. Now I'm gonna show you what it comes from the factory to me. So it beeps, it says 2 cells. It says all is 7.62, cell 1 is 3.8. That's perfect balance. That is the perfect point for maximum storage lifespan. It's kind of like the median point in the range of these cells. Chemistry on lipos, meaning the way that they behave, you want the voltage in the middle of its usable range. And you're only using this little bit, and then the rest is not used. Because if you drop way down, so it's 4.2 volts up here, and then 3.6 volts or 3.3 volts is where you would stop using it. And then from there, it'll drop like a rock. So your voltage will drop really slow, and then it dies, okay? And then you kill the chemistry in the pack. So that's why when you run brushless systems or 2S airplanes, you're gonna wanna shut down when you hear your voltage alarm go off. A lot of times there's low voltage warnings too. So in this case, I'll use something like this, and then I can press this little button here, and it's gonna set it to whatever I want it to be. So when the voltage goes to 3.3 volts, then it's going to give me that alarm similar to what you heard when I plugged it in. So it's gonna just keep doing that. So as the plane flies back and forth, I can hear that noise. The other way you can do it is with the timer. So you establish how long the flight is, and then you stop and you actually test the voltage, and you just know about how long it's gonna go. Also, very important note, when it's really cold out like it is right now, these batteries get a little upset. Don't be surprised, there's nothing wrong with the packs. If it's 30 degrees out, Fahrenheit, it's gonna fly okay. If it's like 1 degree out, you're gonna notice a significant drop in performance on every single LiPo you've got, and that is no BS. Trust me, if you fly below 0, there'll be an even more significant output change. Now, if you fly at 50 degrees compared to 70 degrees, virtually no difference. Now, 150 degrees out, which would be a little hot, then you're gonna notice an appreciable difference as well. So, the operating range does matter on LiPos. So now, to figure this out, we're gonna pause it, we'll get some double A's, and we'll come right back. Okay, so we have to put 4 batteries in here. If you don't know anything about batteries, the flat side goes down. I know this is some elementary stuff, but I never know what audience I'm gonna get on planes like this. This is kind of like the hybrid toy grade / hobby grade stuff. You're kind of breaking into the hobby grade equipment for price point. And you know, like brushless motors like this, you don't get that in a toy grade plane. You aren't gonna get that if you run down to Walmart and find a helicopter or a toy. You're gonna get a brushed motor. So this stuff is good stuff. It's just that it's still inexpensively put together, and it's just very efficiently built and very nice. So Sunnysky evidently does a pretty good job putting these things together. Again, my only issue right now is control, so I'm hoping we can get past that. The other thing I didn't talk about is the size. It's 716 millimeters wingspan, 528 long. And then this came to me as a ready to fly in mode 2. They sent that to me. So if you're in North America, you're gonna be more than likely using a mode 2. Mode 2 means that like the left hand is gonna control the throttle and the rudder, and then the right hand is gonna control the ailerons and the elevator. So we'll go over that a little bit later when we start actually getting this set up. And if you're not familiar with the most recent binding procedures, which means you teach this radio to talk to this receiver, the transmitter to the receiver, then we're gonna go over that at some point too. Usually these things come bound, and if you need to bind them, I'll show you how to do that. So this plane was not super clear on exactly how to remove the canopy. So I did look at the color manual, very good manual, much better than average. I mean, a lot better than average. There is regrettably still some Chinglish in here, okay? And when I say Chinglish, you know what I mean, but what I mean is it's English words, but it doesn't mean anything. It's just nonsense. So it's better than average though. I would say it's like 75% better than average. Now, look, I'm grabbing the bill of the bird here, okay? I'm lifting up slightly, and then I'm pulling out. You see that hook? See that hook there, guys? Mm-hmm. That's what I'm concerned with, okay? And then this thing has a retaining clip. Okay, so it just catches with pressure. And then there's a ball bearing in here. That is to help with nose weight so that this center of gravity works out, okay? That's one thing that I'm not pleased with in the manuals on these Sunnyskys is that they don't even discuss the center of gravity. Now, I'll tell you why. Because they have engineered these planes well. Preference issues beside the point, when you engineer a plane right, you don't need to talk a lot about the center of gravity because they send everything you need to fly it. So as a result, you basically just plug in the battery and you go, okay? Obviously our batteries, it's been, what, like 10 minutes or so since we plugged this in, so I'm just gonna give you guys an idea of what to expect for charge. So this is our baseline, so this is the one that came out of the package. Of course, it's a 7.62 nominal. So we'll just go ahead and interrupt this charge cycle. And we'll plug this one in. These things are super handy to have. If you don't have this, you can use a multimeter too to test your voltage. So that's at 4 volts. So it needs to get to, or 7.99 volts nominal. So these things need to be at 4.2 volts. So 4.2 volts per cell, which would be whatever that is. So 4.2 times 2. So it'd be 8.4 volts. Real quick, LiPo safety. The most dangerous thing in this package is the LiPo, okay? That's why there's literally a warning on the package when they ship them. The only thing that's gonna really hurt you on this plane is the LiPo, if you're stupid. So don't be stupid. When I say stupid, I mean don't like plug this in and then go on vacation, okay? Because that's not a good idea. Don't set this in the carpet next to your baby stroller, and then that's stupid. Don't do that. Just put it on something that's not going to catch on fire. If this thing were to catch on fire right now, which it's not going to, then it'd make a really good YouTube video.
It would.
It's not going to catch on fire because it's in good shape, and I've done my due diligence to make sure the wiring isn't damaged. And I also don't have this pack. When they puff, then that's usually a good sign that you've got a problem. And they are puffed forever before they start catching on fire. Trust me, I know. So if you get a battery that's like twice as big or twice as wide and it's kind of squishy, then you need to just like seriously take it out into your driveway and just like put a nail through it or whatever. With safety glasses and flame retardant gloves. Don't just throw them in the garbage. Talk to your local garbage people about how to dispose of it safely. So that little safety side of note, I mean, I've got hundreds of LiPos and I've never had a fire. And yes, I have properly disposed of them. It's not a big deal. The big thing is you want them discharged. You don't want this going in a garbage truck and then starting a small fire. So don't worry about it though beyond that. Just be careful, don't leave them unattended. So you'll notice there's a piece of Velcro on there. This is the soft side and then the rough side's in there. So that's gonna stick inside of here, okay? Talking about a well-engineered plane, okay? They've thought of everything, okay? They even left some room for a voltage alarm, but this particular voltage alarm is probably gonna be a little bit too big is my guess. So if I use a voltage alarm, I'll have to use a smaller one, okay? Not a big deal. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start this up. I'm gonna turn my transmitter on. Red light flashes a few times. Then I'm gonna plug in this, actually I have a battery like this that's charged, so we'll just go ahead and use one of these from the other day. These batteries are the exact same batteries, just so you guys know what we're talking about. This is a 300 milliamp hour, 300 milliamp hour 2S pack. This came with the S720, and then this one came with the T720. So we're just gonna use this for testing reasons. So I'm gonna plug this in. I'm gonna try to bring this to a level attitude as soon as possible. You'll notice it's pretty much already working, which is pretty nice. That's why you get a ready to fly that's already set up. I mean, you literally don't have to do anything, and look inside the inner workings of that thing. See the lights and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. This thing does glow, by the way. And yes, there are carbon fibers. There's carbon fiber spars right here that come out to about, I don't know, 7/8 of the way out the ailerons. So that's good. Carbon fiber spars, but then the wing is very forgiving. I don't think there's a carbon fiber spar in the tail. I didn't discuss that. Nope, there's nothing in there. And then the sheer thickness of the vertical stabilizer is where the strength comes from, not from carbon fiber. So we'll just stuff this in here carefully. You can get that situated however you want. You see all these wires are nice and tucked in here. Nothing's protruding. Then we'll snap this back on. We're ready to fly, actually. So we have rudder. Let's stand behind me, and then the people at home can see the direction. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the correct way that this should work. Elevator, that's correct. Up, down. Then ailerons are gonna go roll, okay? And then rudder, rudder.
Okay.
Rudder,
Yep.
rudder. Okay. Now the second thing you can test, now be careful, if you put the throttle on, make sure the air is blowing to move the plane forward, and then don't do that again because you're gonna end up cutting yourself. Now watch what happens. When I move this wing up, the aileron goes up, okay? Now watch what happens when I get all the way upside down, it's gonna try to find the fastest way level, okay? So imagine the air is going across this. What's gonna happen? It's gonna try to force this wing down. It's gonna try to force this wing up. Now it's level. That's called auto leveling, guys. Now watch what happens. I get past the halfway point. Oh, now it finds the other way. So it's gonna find the quickest way to level. And that way, when you're flying, it's gonna help you keep the plane going straight and level. When you let go of the sticks, it's gonna go flat. Now, on a normal plane, without stabilization and auto leveling, when you let go of the sticks, it's gonna just keep going whatever direction it feels like, and the wind is gonna push it, and it's gonna do all these things. This plane is gonna basically fly straight and narrow, okay? Now watch the rudder. See how it's kind of pointed over? As I move this from an outside environmental impact, it's going to resist. See how it's pointed that way now? See how it's pointed this way now? See that? What that is that's stabilization, okay? It's gonna try to keep this plane from being blown by the wind, okay? And when I say blown by the wind, it's still gonna be blown by the wind, but it's gonna try to counter that impact by changing the condition of the control surfaces, the elevator, rudder, and ailerons, okay? This is a propeller. It's got a pretty good amount of power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's gonna be doing any hammerheads. Let's test. Okay, now you'll notice that it kicked like that. That is gonna wanna push the nose down a little bit. See that? I'm allowing that to happen just to show you. The gyroscope's in here, which the 6-axis gyro in here, which is measuring roll, pitch, and yaw, and then also the same at an angle. It's going to help counter that little teeny bit of input, okay? So you don't need to worry about that, it's gonna be fine. And then of course there's 2 buttons on the top of this transmitter. So we've already discussed kind of what everything does on these. Obviously this is a power switch, that's on and then off. This is the trick button. So you're gonna press and hold this while flying. And then you're supposed to be able to move the stick and it'll do a trick. Now, I did not have good luck with that on the S720 Sport, but I don't care because I don't really use that feature. And then the other feature is normal and sport. Okay, so normal mode is gonna give you that auto leveling. Now watch what happens when I switch it to sport. It stops auto leveling it. But you'll notice that the ailerons still move when I rotate the airplane. Watch what happens when I let go. It just neutralizes. Oh, actually, hold on. I want to see if it's trying to auto level still. So what's actually happening is it's going to hold the heading when you switch it into sport mode. So we'll show you how that looks in the air. That's one of those things that's a little easier to see when you see it happening. Heading hold means it's going to keep going in the same direction no matter what. Auto leveling is always going to try to level the plane, okay? That's why it's important to have this plane level and stationary when you plug in the battery. All right, now that we've gone through all those details, we are going to just pause it and we'll come right back. Okay, YouTube, I tried. It's a little bit too dark to fly this for the video tonight. I'm impressed with the way it handles the little teeny bit of like 2 minutes of flying time that I did. I can see okay to fly, but I don't think it's going to be good enough for video footage. So we will wait until we have a day, and it's going to be coming right now. It's nice now. Weird how that works. OMPHobby T720. We're going to see how this thing does, and we're going to see right now because we have good weather for once. It's a miracle. As you can see, beautiful brushless motor. That thing looks good. I can already tell it flies a lot easier than that. Well, not easier, but better. It's just controllable. Auto leveling here. It doesn't feel as locked in, which is what I like. It feels like I'm controlling it. It's kind of weird when you fly a plane because you wouldn't think it'd be that big of a difference, but it's a huge difference. Because you see how it's not herky-jerky when I give it elevator? That was a stall. Let's come by and I'll show you what I'm talking about as I come by. I'll go between the camera crew and myself. That's the limited bank angle there. Up, down. There's the limited roll. You can stall it. So let's try the trick button. Okay. Okay, so it tried to do a trick button. That definitely did different things.
Yeah.
Okay, so trick. Oh, wow. That's weird.
Whew.
It just kind of does whatever.
It's a surprise trick.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll try again. That is very weird. And yet, it's still a trick, I guess. Trick like surprise, like trick or treat. Okay, let's walk out here, see what we can get. Okay, so we're still in beginner mode, mostly because these things I found are really wonky if you try to come out of beginner mode, but it looks really nice. What a gorgeous sunset, by the way. Not an overly fast plane, but I don't care if it's fast. I want a good flying plane. Okay, I'm out of trick, or I'm in the advanced mode here. As you can see, I can do all the controls I want. Let's try some inverted flight here. Oh yeah, it's good. Rock solid. Way better flying than the S720 in my opinion. I like flying it a lot better. Sorry, camera crew.
You're fine.
Okay, so I'm out of the beginner mode here. So just to give you an idea, this transmitter just feels like there's more expo. And so when you have the controls in the middle of the stick, it just feels more controllable. Into beginner mode. Let's bring back under the power lines here. The power lines they had in the manual that said not to fly next to, those were much bigger. There's a little bit of that herky jerk when I was letting off the elevator there. But see, what's nice is, okay, so to get to the herky jerk, you have to, I'll try to duplicate this here. I'm going downwind and you can still resist it. Like you can do things with your controls to make it not fly that way. Plus this could stand to use a little bit bigger battery. It would help with the, so I don't want to say it's tail heavy. It's certainly not tail heavy, but it could use just a little bit more weight up front, I think. That's pretty cool. It finds level fast. So we'll just put it into a crazy configuration and then level. That is pretty good. That's pretty fast.
So is it a beginner
plane? Oh yeah. This is way easier. Should we have the camera crew try this?
No, I think we've proven.
I mean, look at this, guys. I mean, look at this. Look at this. I want to. Okay, I know what I'm going to do next. I'm going to leave the controller on the ground and catch it. So here we go. So here we go. We'll just bring it around, do a quick figure 8, get it into a nice glide slope. Oh yeah. Come on. Oh, don't you do it to me. The controls are way over there, guys. I like it. This thing flies good. The one thing I noticed about this, that's not usually the way you fly, guys.
It's not.
The one thing I noticed about this one that I wasn't crazy about was, you see that gap there? See that? When I slide my wing in, there's just a little teeny bit of a gap there. And maybe it's just a small machining issue. And it certainly hasn't caused a problem yet. But these things you'll find when you have less than a stellar landing, check your wings. They're probably going to detach. All right, camera crew, are you trying it?
I think we've proven that I should not fly planes.
Yes. Let's do it.
Oh, jeez.
Here we go. All right, guys. You asked for it.
Wait.
Okay, so.
Are you going to launch for me?
Yeah. No, you can launch yourself. It's super easy. Yes.
That's what he said last time, too.
Okay, so when you hand launch yourself, you want to, yeah, you just hold it. It's so easy.
That's, again, what you said last time.
Okay, so this is the throttle. You're in beginner, not sport mode.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the first thing you check.
Extra beginner mode.
Yeah, extra beginner. So you don't want the throttle up very high.
Okay.
And then this is going to tip the plane. And then this will make the elevator go back and forth, so it'll go up and down. So the best thing you can do is just get up high.
Okay.
Get up high, camera crew, and then fly. So I'll launch it for you this time. Okay.
Okay, so a little bit of throttle. Oh, my hands are cold already.
Like halfway.
Okay.
Halfway. Okay, here we go, guys. Go up higher, full throttle. And you guys are getting to see. Now just turn it a little bit that way. Pull back on the stick. Pull back harder, harder, a lot harder. There you go.
Back on which stick?
Keep doing what you were doing. Full throttle.
Nope, nope, nope.
See, I told you it was easy.
See?
All right, we're gonna go find it.
Okay.
Okay, so some of you won't have such good luck on your first amazing flight. But let's just make sure everything works. Oh yeah. Works perfect.
This is a better angle to film from. I did it on purpose.
Sure you did. It looks good.
Yeah.
All right, let's go through it again a little bit. So guys, as you can see, this plane flies well. It's really a good plane. It's easy to control. You still have to know the basic controls of an airplane, or you end up doing that. So
see, and then you just put the wings right back on.
this is why I wanted to demonstrate that intentionally.
Oh, you lost a wing.
Okay, so I just lost my horizontal stabilizer. So basically, all right, we're gonna probably pause it here for a sec while I get all this stuff put together. We'll come. Okay, so when I crashed into myself, this thing broke. So I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna fix it, and then you can copy if you do this to your own plane. This thing broke off. So I'm gonna use CA. This is Bob Smith Industries medium Instaset, which is also known as CA or cyanoacrylate, if I'm saying that right. There's your cyanoacrylate. This is a 1 ounce bottle, but it doesn't really matter. Then this is Instaset I'm gonna use. This is Instacure rather. Okay, that's super glue basically. Then I'm just gonna basically line up the plastic where it goes, like this. And then I'm either gonna hold it, or since I'm an impatient person, I'm gonna go ahead and basically take this thing out of the container. If I had 3 hands, this would be a lot easier.
I can maybe.
Nah, you're not gonna be able to hold
Okay.
it. It's okay. So I'm just holding these together. And then this thing, I'll just drip a little bit of the residual on there and it's gonna glue it together. And what that does is it makes that glue set, like right now. Then you see how this has a kind of a void in the middle? What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take and put just a little bit of glue, not much at all, a couple of drips maybe, on either side just like this, okay? And that's gonna fill that little cavity. Are you picking that up at all?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm just gonna do 1 drip. This is also known as kicker. So you can get that at pretty much any hobby shop. And if you can't find it at the hobby shop, then you can find it online. There's a million places. I believe I have links to it. But this is Instaset or kicker. And then this is medium CA. This is not a foam safe product. So you wouldn't, well, I guess you probably could use it on this foam, but you wouldn't want to use it on some foams because it'll eat it. This is just plastic part we're gluing together. So as you can see, it's fixed now. So that just retains the wing in there.
And the kicker doesn't come glued to a Pringles lid, but it helps it not tip over.
That's a modification because I tip it a million times a day. So basically we'll see if that holds, which looks like it's gonna be fine. And then of course, that snaps in there. Cool. So we're gonna go fly it some more, so we'll pause it and come right back.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna fly a little bit more just so you guys can see how it does. And of course, this is after my massive repair, where I just pretty much flew right into myself. Try to do it again there. One thing I can say about this plane is that it seems super responsive, but you need to really spend some time to get used to its responsiveness, because I've noticed a couple of times I'll move the stick all the way to the end of the throws and it almost appears to have just a slightly different response. But I love the way it flies compared to the S720. It is like night and day. Trick, nothing, okay? So we'll try it again. half throttle going through. Hold the trick. Nothing. Okay. Must be doing something wrong here. Out of it. I love gliding with it. It's like a perfect glider. As you can see, the prop is stopped, so there's very little drag. It's almost like they have braking on there. Braking is where you actually actively stop the propeller from spinning, which I wouldn't have understood why that was a big deal before I got into this, but it creates a ton of drag. Okay, I feel like I might be losing my LiPo a little bit. I mean, it would fly for a while longer, so let's come in and test it. Okay. So that popped the wings off. So like I was saying earlier, you got to just be a little bit mindful of the condition of your wings before you take back off. This stuff is slick. The mold release or whatever they put on this makes it really, really slick. So got a little voltage alarm here. So this is the OMPHobby battery packs, 300 milliamp hour, as you already seen from the earlier part of the video. So we don't have to unplug it, but we're gonna unplug it anyway. Just for the record, we started with about 8.36 volts. So that would have been just under full charge because it's been sitting for a couple of days. So as you can see, we're at 3.8. Now, under a perfect circumstance, this is pretty much in storage mode. So that'd be exactly where you'd want to leave it. But just for you folks at home, I'm going to run it for a few more minutes and see if I can bring it down even lower. And that's important because a lot of you guys are going to want to fly for a long time. And I kind of want you to see what happens when the voltage gets low. And hopefully it's not crashing a million pieces, similar to my camera crew's experience. Remember, my camera crew does not fly airplanes.
No.
Except for when I make her. Well, that was a kind of a weird jerk and jerk there. We're going to have to go to a different angle if you want to see this thing, huh?
Yeah, the sun's getting challenging.
Okay, I'm in sport mode there. That's a pretty good little stall turn. I mean, just way more responsive, way easier to fly. The transmitter is almost the exactly transmitter that came with the S720 Sport, but it just feels so much better. I mean, they've got the stabilization worked out and then into the auto leveling. That was pretty good recovery. So as you can see, my little repair, my little bush repair worked out just fine. I gotta get it over the horizon, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
So now one thing I've noticed about this plane and the other OMPHobby plane is that over time I'm noticing my sticks, I have to kind of ride the sticks a little bit more throughout the flight process. And it's almost like the gyroscope has lost its home position. Could have also been the fact that I reset the battery in there. And that's a little bit weird too. I'm not sure why it did that. Did you notice that, camera crew?
Mm-hmm.
How it did that turn?
Yep.
It didn't really indicate to it to do that. Unless the wing is popping off or something weird like that. Let's land and see. Well, actually, I'll try to catch it so we don't pop the wing out on landing.
Okay.
Look at the ailerons as we come in, camera crew. I'm using the rudder and elevator mostly. Yeah, they're not popped off. I'm trying not to catch by the wing like that because that could pop it off. But see that little hesitation there, that little gap. That's the only thing that might be just a nuance in my particular model. And we also have not died yet, so let's just keep going. We have a shepherd's hook there, and that is to hang our bug zapper for the summer. And I just don't want to take it out. Ooh, feels like maybe we're getting there. I'm in sport mode now. I could tell that my camera crew was having trouble with their orientation, and to her defense, the lighting out here right now takes a lot more skill than if it were full light. because when you have a silhouette like that, you have to be a little bit more competent as an aircraft pilot. And that's not to toot my own horn or anything. I mean, I'm flying a plane with auto leveling and everything, so. But I'll tell you what, one thing that will get you is losing orientation. So if you're wanting to fly in low light, you want to typically put the light source behind you. But just for our sake, we're trying to film.
Our 10-year-old could fly this though, could he not?
Easily.
Yeah. And he's way more competent than I am.
He's a pretty good pilot, but he's very picky. He wants to make sure that he can do something really well before he wants to actually try it.
Yes.
Which is, to be honest with you guys, if you're learning to fly, don't expect to start and be good right away. You'll make a lot of mistakes. Learn from every single one of them. Every time you make a stupid mistake, try to pick up something from it. Because some of them are going to be very expensive. See, the braking doesn't seem to be going, okay, time to gain some altitude for, this is going to be awesome. If that battery dies right now, I'm going to be so annoyed. See those geese? They're coming to visit me. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so when you get far away like that, just be aware. Watch what happens, guys. I'm going to put this into an uncontrollable stall. So watch this. Okay. Watch this. Full throttle and pull back. If you don't do it, it won't correct itself. You need to give it throttle to get out of that mess. So let's watch it again one more time. Get up high. Okay. Uncontrollable. I didn't get enough wind to help me along. Okay, we're gonna go back up and do it again. So I'm gonna kick it with the rudder. See that? Throttle and level out. Without throttle, it won't level out of that always, because the gyro doesn't overwhelm it enough. Man, I really like flying this plane. It's fun to fly. It doesn't hurt that it's beautiful out right now.
Yeah.
Man, that is gorgeous. Are you zooming at all?
No, because it's screwing up the focus because of the light.
That battery has got to be spent, guys. I'm using the rudder to slow the plane down. Okay, and you can land it on concrete, but it's going to tear up your foam. So I'll go ahead and grab this quick and we'll do a voltage test again.
Okay.
All right, folks. So I'm going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to test it while it's hooked up. These things normally run inside the aircraft, but it's just a little bit too tight to fit this whole thing in here. 707, so we're at 3.5, and we're at 3.57. So I have this currently set to 3.3 to alarm. So basically, watch what happens when I load the circuit, okay? Watch what happens, guys. You ready? Show them the numbers. I'm going to put the throttle up. That's what happens. That's why when LiPos run out, they run out quick. Because you guys notice it was working fine and then drops like a rock. So anybody who's had a lithium powered power tool, whether it's a lithium ion or lithium polymer, they both have similar characteristics in that sense. That's why you gotta be a little bit careful with these things. For you, you might wanna set a timer, time your first flight, and then just go by that. But that was easily, what, 10 minutes? 10 minutes plus?
We're at 21 on recording, so yeah.
So 10 minutes plus would be totally safe. And guys, I really like flying this thing. This is a pretty good flying plane. And that's with a stock. Oh, let's show them the repercussions of the concrete landing. Keep in mind, this is a fiber reinforced driveway, so it's brand new, and it wears and tears on stuff a little bit worse. And then this back doesn't have any plastic. So obviously your best bet's gonna be to land it in the grass if you have it. But what a beautiful little flying plane. I mean, I can't believe how good this thing flies compared to the S720. I mean, night and day. This thing is way better. I would just go get one. I don't know why we're even talking. Thanks for watching, guys.